Okay, so welcome everybody to Sarah's Yoga for Healing free talk tonight. And I just want to introduce Sarah, but mostly she's going to be doing all the talking, but she said that she loves fielding questions and answering your questions. So please ask questions throughout the call, and let's make the most of this moment and get out all her wisdom tonight. So to introduce Sarah, we go back way back. We've got our kids at school together, and I feel like I've got an affinity with Sarah because I mean I love yoga too. We're in lockdown. I guess like most people, a lot of people, I became really lethargic and kind of frumpy and flumpy and put on weight and completely slack in energy and all the lockdown things, as we all know. And thank goodness for Sarah's classes. I just made myself get onto Sarah's classes, and they're so lovely. Sarah's a gorgeous girl, really. I know you're a tough cookie, you're a strong girl, I know that, but you're so gentle in your classes, and the classes are very, very easy, very, very simple. And I really felt strongly about bringing her on and bringing her into the group and sharing her lovely wisdom, bringing Sarah and share her lovely wisdom with everyone, because this is something that I feel is really important about yoga, about breathing, that Sarah's going to be talking about today, that it helps with our healing. I mean, certainly with me, it brought up my energy. I got moving again. I felt back into myself again. You know, it took time, I have to say, but thank you, Sarah, for your lovely classes. All yours.
Thank you, Althea. I have been doing yoga for probably about 20 years now, which is a little bit scary when you start thinking about it like that. And I started off with kind of just very traditional yoga. It was Ashtanga yoga, which is very physical. And then I went on to do many different kinds of yoga. I went to India for a while and did some training there. And for most of the time that I was doing it, it was quite a physical practice. I saw it mainly and experienced it mainly as a physical practice. And it kept me fit, and it kind of, got some energy out and kept me flexible. And then about 10, 11 years ago, I stumbled across Kundalini yoga. And it sort of took my yoga onto the next level, really. And that's what I now practice, and that's what I teach. And it encompasses all the good stuff of all the different styles of yoga. But it also is very powerful in that it brings together mantra, so the use of sound, breath work, and meditation in a way that really works so effectively on your energy. And I mean, there's lots of kind of complex science behind it, but essentially I think, Althea, kind of as you described it, you sort of do it, and then slowly you start to notice that there's a kind of shift in your energy, and it just kind of gives you this it gives you something, and it's very creative. And Kundalini yoga is called the yoga of awareness because it's sort of one of its main focuses is about your own internal experience, which is fantastic if you're dealing with healing or any sensations in the body, because for most of us, we're going around and we're not aware of it a lot. We kind of zone out, we tune out of what we can feel in our bodies. So for me, Kundalini yoga is absolutely fantastic on a healing level.
It's very nice it's very nice that you said that, because I mean, this is what I teach with the pain-free method, is that connection to yourself, to your body, listening and feeling in.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's
why I feel like this yoga is so important, kind of a branch of healing.
Yeah. So the other interesting thing about Kundalini yoga is that it you can kind of take it wherever you are at the time. So for some people, they can go to classes which are super physical, and you'll come out sweating, and you know, it's really, really powerful and strong, and you know, involves a lot of strength and builds strength. But on the other spectrum, it can be incredibly gentle, and can sort of basically be adapted to, you know, it can be adapted to the purpose, as it were. And I, a couple of years ago, I did a training specifically in chair-based yoga, which was fascinating to discover that everything that I've been learning and practicing, you could pretty much do sitting in a chair. And there are obviously lots of stages of life where that can be absolutely fantastic to do. So yeah, it's very, very adaptable, which is something I love about it. Were you going to say something, Althea?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, I mean, that's what appealed to me about your style, because this is why I feel I think people in the group would really, really love it, and then, or not in the group, because it's so gentle. I was doing like a strong I don't know what it was called, but it was sun salutations, that you went down and up and up and down, and the whole time it was a sweaty job, and it was doing these movements one to the other. I called it yoga flow. I don't know if that's the right name, but it was very energetic, very strong. But when I came to your classes, I just wasn't there anymore, and my body had changed and my energy had dropped, and I was feeling very lethargic. So your classes were lovely because you're just so sweet and simple, and you don't push and shove anyone. You know, they come on, pick your leg here and there and anything. It was just so nice and gentle, and I still found myself fighting the class a lot in the beginning. So I don't know if other people might experience the same thing, but I just, because it was so gentle, and you're a very gentle teacher, very gently guiding. And you, as you said, it's breath work, it's mantras, it's simple positions, anyone can do it. And I know you, like, there's that other guy in your class that seems to be a bit stiff, or something wrong with his legs, or something, you know?
Yeah.
And I just saw his knees, so I thought, you know, this can be open to so many people. And it, you know, at the persistence of doing your class, I do it twice a week with you, Mondays and Thursdays.
Very, very consistent and regular, Althea.
I am. I just feel the benefit, you know, and it's gentle, and I can't argue with myself too much. I just do a little bit, and it's easy, and, you know, it's very gentle. But I wanted to bring in Andrea, if that's okay, Sarah.
Yeah.
Because Andrea, do you want to just say, just before we've switched on record, what it's like? Do you want to just say what you said before, if that's okay? And just
I love doing the yoga, and I really want to get into it more. You know, not so much as the hot and steamy one, but the stretching and the getting inside yourself and everything. But I was kind of like, when I do it, if there's any poses that I have to use my hands for, I've just got too much pain in my hands, so I'm clenching my fists like this and trying to do downward dog with clenched fists. Which then makes all your other muscles feel different. And so I suppose I was kind of thinking, what is there I can still do the yoga, but not, if I'm not doing the downward dog, for instance, that is it still going to benefit me?
Yeah. Oh, am I on mute?
No, I think you're good. No. You're good.
I'm good. Yeah. So I mean, first thing that comes to my mind about that is, yes, that there's adaptations for everything. And you're right that using the clenched fist is one modification, but there are others you can do. For example, raising, putting your hand resting on a rolled up mat, so that you're not actually forcing the fingers into that sort of position, and you know, you're kind of taking the pressure away from there. But the other thing that I really wanted to say is that the way yoga works is on the whole being. And just to talk a little bit about the science of it, so what it's actually doing. So if you practice it regularly, for starters, it's working really deeply on your nervous system. And as we know that now, that the nerves, just like all the other parts of your body, are constantly regrowing and reshaping, and so the yoga has a strengthening effect on the nervous system, which is incredibly powerful for the body. it's stimulating your circulation, it's building up muscle strength, and it's working on the sort of what we call prana in yoga. And it's the combination of all those things together that kind of raises up your sort of vitality. And so the wonderful thing about it is that you don't necessarily need to come in at the thing that's hurting, or at the, you know, and try and solve it. So, for example, when I started training in this yoga, there was one lovely woman who turned up who had just had a really bad back injury. The week before she was due to start the course, she'd fallen coming out of a shop, and she hurt her back, and she literally couldn't move. She could get there, but she hadn't been able to sort of do any physical yoga. And she was given this lovely practice of a meditation with some arm work, but mainly just a meditation and breath work. And that was part of her healing. And so, you know, the root word, the root meaning of yoga is relationship and union. And it's about it's about connecting your finite consciousness with the bigger consciousness, but on a sort of physical level. That is it. What it means is you are building the vitality of the body so that it is able to heal itself. So that was the other thing that came to mind, you know, when you were talking. But also specifically with hands, I mean, there's some wonderful hand exercises you can do just on their own to kind of bring back gently some of the movement, you know, to an area like your hands that maybe, you know, they don't want to go into a downward dog yet, but you could do, you know, some sort of finger movements and things that gently start to kind of bring movement back into them, or, you know, with things with the wrists. So yeah, and also the wonderful thing that we always say is that if you can't do a particular exercise, you sit or lie, whatever you're doing, and you imagine yourself doing it. And as we know from neuroscience now, to your brain, your brain doesn't necessarily know the difference between what is actually happening and what it's imagining. So to imagine is a very powerful tool to use during different sort of stages of wellness and illness, and, you know, so yeah. Althea, shall I?
And you do lots of breathing, and that's what's that tummy thing you do, like, what's that?
Yeah, so that's breath of fire. That's breath of fire, which is so there's the breathing is very, very important, and is really the sort of foundation of everything, because the breathing comes first, then the mind, when you train it over time, that's why it's so good for anxiety or anything related to anxiety or depression or anything, because you learn to stabilize the breath. Basically, we call it your breath signature, and through practice you learn to kind of notice when you're breathing shallowly, which parts you're breathing from, and so learning to do long deep breathing is sort of like the foundation, really. And I can talk a bit about the 1 minute breath that we mentioned.
Yeah, go for it. Can I just before you say about that, before you go to the next section, because I wanted to say, you know, I over these 30 years I've been a therapist. I worked many years in the clinic, and they would do reflexology, and they'd lie down on this chair thing, and I'd be at their feet, and just I could see their whole body in front of me. And so many times, like nearly every time, I could see that people were breathing so shallowly. And I know that it's like the bellows of the body when we breathe all the way in and all the way out. And something those who are in the program, they know very much about, you know, my breathing that I teach you, that it's very important to, despite what you're experiencing in your body, the breath is very, very important, because it flushes your body with oxygen, and that feeds all the muscles, and it affects your emotions, it affects your thought, and it gets oxygen to the brain. And so that's why I was really interested. That's what kind of spurred me to invite you, this breath. Yeah. Oh, gotta have her on, because it really links with the healing that I know about, that I teach. So would you say about the 1 minute breath and talk a bit more about that, please?
Yeah, so it's based on the principle is basically the slowing down of the breath, and doing long complete breaths, which we so rarely do, both the inhale and the exhale. The impact is on so many different levels. I mean, it's flushing toxins out. It's working directly on the pituitary gland, which is the sort of seat of your, the hormone, what regulates the hormones in your body. And essentially, I think, I'm trying to remember, I think it's men are on average breathe between 16 and 18 cycles per minute. And I think women, it's about 18 to 20 on average, is in a normal day. And so the reducing the breath to, say, for example, 8 cycles a minute. So you would be breathing in and out 8 times in 1 minute. Even just doing that much, you have lots of knock-on effects. So you immediately get the relaxation effect. The body, it kickstarts the body into a relaxed mode, to a letting go. It works on, it influences the nervous system, so the parasympathetic nervous system, and it what's the word, catalyzes healing, basically. And then we reduce it down. So there's 8 cycles per minute, then there's 4 cycles per minute, and you build up until the 1 minute breath is based on breathing in for 20 seconds and then suspending the breath for 20 seconds and then breathing back out for 20 seconds. And it can take quite a long while to get to that point. But the journey
how long does it take? How long does it take to get to the 1 minute breath?
I think it depends on how well you learn to do simple natural breathing and long deep breathing. Once you've got that, once you figure out how to inhale so that you're filling up through your belly and then up through your chest and taking these big long deep breaths, and once you learn how to fully exhale, which is another thing that people often don't do, because they will exhale just from the top bit of the chest and not with the belly, really get all the air out. Once you learn that, you're pretty much already doing it, and then you learn the suspending of the breath at the top, and then there's your minute, but it depends on the person. It could be a week, it could be months, it could be a year. It just depends who you are, but it doesn't really matter in a way. But it just that the fact that working with the breath is so deeply healing and powerful, and is sort of the gateway really to I was going to say controlling, but it's not controlling your mind, it's the opposite of that. But what we call the neutral mind in yoga is accessed by the breath. Yeah.
And I always feel like, the breath is where our soul is. That's the main sort of action. If someone's in trouble and feeling awful, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, I always say, go straight to the breath, because that's your control panel. That's your reins back in your hand. That's you back in control of you. Through the breath. Get into the breath, definitely.
Yeah.
And then it does all these wonderful physical things as well. And what did you mean about catalyzes healing? What do you mean catalyzes healing?
What do I mean by catalyzing healing? Because it works on the parasympathetic nervous system, it reduces the stress levels in the body. That's one of the biggest functions of slowing down the breath. It reduces the fight or flight response that can be going on, and the body's when the fight or flight stress response is going on, the body is naturally going into a state of tension with the muscles and the nerves, ready, literally like if you're in the wild, the tiger's coming, you're getting ready for action. And
and in pain and discomfort, that's going to be triggered. And I know the number one side effect of pain is tension. So that's going to be triggering pain and stress levels and all sorts of things.
Yes, yeah. And it can also sometimes mask pain or mask where the source of pain, because if you, like a lot of people can be, are spending more of your waking hours in that stress response, you may not feel like you are, but your body is sort of primed for that. That in itself can be creating pain that may be sort of masking the source of other pain or the source of where tension is needed. And so the breath really gets incredibly quickly to slowing everything down and allowing the body to come out of that, out of that stress response. And it's not that there's anything wrong with that. That's, there's nothing wrong with that state. We need it. We need that ability to go into stress. But what we also need is the ability to come out of it and then go back into it. And so you're kind of, it's a flow moving backwards and forwards. And that's what learning to work with the breath gives you. It gives you that ability to choose and move into a different emotional state when you need to, and also to notice it in the first place. I'm trying to remember what pranayama is. The name of the name we give to breath work, and it essentially means working with it's energy management in its sort of one of its sort of translations is energy management via the breath.
Wonderful. And if anybody wants to have any questions, anything, would anybody like to know something or ask Sarah anything about yoga or breath?
Yeah, please do if you have any questions or just any stories to share. But I don't know if anyone else has done yoga or has any experience of it. Or
I know with yoga is one of the things that I really strongly recommend for an exercise for people, for everybody, not just for healing, but for everybody, because it's physical, but it's not just physical. It's bringing your breath and your thinking and your feelings and your body all together. And that's why I think it's so valuable. It's not just keep fit thing at all. It's really bringing your consciousness and your focus and your feelings and your mind all together. And that again, is what I teach in the pain-free method. It's connecting all parts of you together, and that's where healing is. So I always recommend yoga as a number one first thing to do for exercise. And as you say, you can choose. Sarah has a very gentle, very easy kind of easy to get into yoga and very beautifully guided. And then you've got all the breath work and the mantras as well. But there's lots of different kinds, because you mentioned the chair yoga.
Mm-hmm.
So is that something are you going to be doing another class, or is that something you'll bring into the class you do, or what?
Yeah, I mean, I always encourage people to sort of adapt within the general classes, whether they happen to be pregnant or whether they've got an injury or whether they've got some other limitation in their body. So I try and encourage that, because it's completely adaptable, within each class that I do. But I also am I'm not running a specifically chair-based yoga class at the moment, but I'm very open to it, because I think it's exciting. It's just it's exciting exploring the different ways, because you get a different energy with each class and each group of people, and it's quite fun if people come together around for a particular reason. But also just to say that the chair-based yoga, it doesn't have to all be in a chair. It quite often it just means having a chair there for the poses and the times where you need it, so you can kind of have a mat and the chair, and you just learn how to work with both.
Because I noticed your classes, you do different things in your classes. Like you seem to have I don't know what you do, Sarah, but you seem to have a sort of a plan of just moving around, and sometimes you do lots of meditation, and sometimes you do lots of sort of physical movements, so it's quite sort of up and down, and then sometimes it's very focused on the hips or whatever. And do you consciously, or do you flow with people, or how do you?
So Kundalini yoga is all based on these things called kriyas, which basically means a set of movements. They're all it was a man called Yogi Bhajan who brought Kundalini yoga from India over to America, and so from him came many of these kriyas, and there's literally thousands of them. And they all have a different and specific effect, and they can all feel, you can take one kriya and do it 5 days in a row and it'll feel different every day.
Is kriya the movement?
Kriya means a set of movements. Okay. It's just a word for the set, but the set is given, and it includes a series of postures and breath work and meditation given in a certain order, and each kriya to have a specific effect, basically. But the way I put my classes together, I think it's probably quite intuitive. I do it partly, based on what's going on in the group. For example, last week somebody had was laid up in bed for a week, so we did one class that was all meditation and breath work. And I'm aware of the different things going on with people, but mostly I work with just a feeling. I sometimes work with a season, sometimes with just the energy of that work, very occasionally with the moon. I'm not any sort of expert on astrology, but I'm kind of, I kind of have people I know who are, and so sometimes I take a little bit of influence from that if I know there's a full moon or something, so I do it very much by feeling. But the beauty of it is, well, for me anyway, it is that it's constantly creative and it's constantly sort of different, but with enough repetition. I don't know if you find this, Althea, but there's enough repetition of the basic postures that you just kind of get familiar with them, and
and they're all simple and easy. I mean, as I said, like the other one I used to do, I mean, I used to teach salsa classes. I was running around and very active and cycling, but my life is completely different now. I have 2 children and I'm a mummy that cooks every day and has put on weight, and then lockdown, of course, so I'm a different body completely. And your class is just perfect for me, gentle, and there's lots of repetition. And as I said, I found myself fighting it in the beginning. My energy just wasn't there, lost it somehow. And there's lots of repetition, but you do mix it up, and I like it. I like it a lot. And sometimes it's lots of hip things or lots of floor things. And then what's that one? Is it called corpse position, or you're just lying down, Shavananda? I don't know the word.
Shavasana.
Is that we just lay flat and you just focus on the reactions in your body? I like that one.
Yeah, the relaxation.
Flat.
Really likes that.
I like that bit.
Look forward to that bit.
It's not too pushing and shoving. And I just found that over time, over the months, it's just, I feel looser, I feel lighter, I feel more energized, but really nice and gentle, and I know it's doing me good, and I really miss it when I can't join or something happens, and just keeps me ticking over and just nice and gentle, and I know it's doing more than just physical movement. So like Andrea was saying, when something in your body is, I know some people wanted to join your class, Sarah, but they said to me that they can't move their back very much, or if someone's in a lot of pain, I mean, could they come to your class? How would you address that? What would you say? I mean, I know it's unique to each person, but could they join if they have a particular restriction or pain or something, or what?
Absolutely. I think what I would say, and I always say anyway, is that if somebody is joining who I don't, who we haven't met before, hasn't been to the class before, we just have a chat beforehand, or they come a bit early to the class. or just turn up and try it, but let me know what's going on with you beforehand. And you know, the bottom line is you only do what is comfortable for you. And if that, you know, it's on Zoom, you're free to have the camera off if you want to. Some people do, or on, and so basically if that just involved sitting there and sort of listening even, you know, or watching, then that would be enough. But if there's specific things going on, then yes, we'd have a little chat beforehand, and then I'd be able to, you know, put in adaptations, modifications based on that, because I'd know beforehand. So that would be important. And yes, as you say, it would depend on that person. But I would say there's no condition really that would preclude you from doing it.
We do have some people in very serious chronic pain, and they literally are bedridden, so they could still chant maybe, or they could breathe, do the breathing exercises.
Yeah.
And then, you know, as their energy rises, as their body flows better, you know, and they are in the program, they'll be getting learning the pain-free method as well. But their energy, so then like my energy, you know, it was a very slow process. I don't have chronic pain, touch wood, but still my energy was sluggish, and it still took quite a while. But I just like that gentleness of development.
And I noticed that Susie came off. Did you want to say something? Because I noticed your mute button go off, and then
no, it was just it just made me smile that I saw a new I've got a movement disorder. I saw a new neurologist this afternoon who said, in order to relax, I really recommend you try yoga.
Oh.
And then bugger me, you're on tonight.
Love it. Oh, I love it. Synchronicity. I love it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That's great to hear that it's being you know, recommended in that way. I think more and more it is. There's and other things, you know.
Definitely. Because it's not just exercise, is it? You know, I just want to kind of highlight that point to everyone. If you're not already doing yoga, it's not just exercise. Because I know there's certain exercises like Pilates. I understand that was yoga movements made into an exercise class, and it's very different to chanting and bringing yourself within and controlling your breath work and all this sort of thing. It's really different. I mean, yoga is a coming together all the different parts of you, which is
I think it's a really important point, and it's also part of the practice. The kind of part of the practice of yoga is coming slowly to realize that you're, you know, it's a way of living, in a way of like that you're not doing it to sort of fix something. You may have X, Y, and Z going on, but you're sort of, you know, you're working on your whole self, and it's a sort of being rather than a doing. I mean, obviously you're doing the yoga, but do you know what I mean? That it's I think a lot of times in our culture it's all about, you go to the doctor to be fixed, and you've got the medication and and there's a certain sort of pattern that can take you down, and to have something that you do that is just simply about experiencing being you, which can be deeply uncomfortable, let's face it, but you know, and having a safe space to do that, and all the benefits that the yoga brings as well. I think that's a process in itself. Is, you know, it's more than just saying this isn't an exercise class, because that can be really hard to get past, and it's so by doing it, I think for me anyway, I've learnt as I go what it means. This is not just an exercise class. It's sort of, you learn it as you go along, in a way. I suppose that's the sort of spiritual part of the practice. Yeah.
I know some class teachers, they do a lot of pointing out and putting your leg here and nudging your arm there or whatever. I notice you're very hands off. You hardly ever sort of say, do it a bit more here. You just really, and that's a key bit, isn't it? That it's a very personal journey.
Yeah.
And when I used to go to classes in person classes, I found it really, I had to really sort of catch myself to really let it be my journey rather than looking what everyone else is doing. And you really encourage that, don't you? You don't point out too much. You just let people find their position that's right.
But it is part of the sort of Kundalini yoga, you know, that it is a sort of hands-off yoga, and it, you as the teacher, I'm guiding, I'm holding the space for, and I talk more sometimes and less other times, but it's that sort of space, rather than, oh, Althea, put your leg a bit higher, or that kind of thing, which it isn't.
It's great. I like
nothing wrong with that, and there are some yogas like that. Pilates is fantastic for that. If you want to really sort of work on your core muscles and everything, and get some of that input, that is amazing as well. And I do weightlifting, alongside Kundalini yoga. So it's not, I'm not saying that there's, I'm just describing what Kundalini yoga is. There was something else I was going to say, but I can't remember it. So
just keeping an eye on what we promised to deliver. So how yoga can improve your healing. And you talked a lot about that, didn't you? About the breath and flushing toxins, and regulates your pituitary gland, the balancing gland in your body, and relaxation effect, letting go, which is a big part of healing, actually, that I know about. Catalyzes your healing, so allows healing to work. I'm not very good with words. It's not my forte, but catalyzes healing, sort of allows healing to happen, brings the possibility of your body to heal properly. And the gateway to the neutral mind. So I guess that's the peace point, isn't it? That's the center point of healing, being, allowing flow, being at peace with your body. So
I mean, what it does is it gives you that ability to kind of choose and to move between the different states, because I mean, we talk about three minds: the positive mind, the neutral mind, and the negative mind. And the negative mind is essentially the one that's looking out and about for danger, and the positive mind is the one that's looking for opportunity, and is the sort of jumping in, all enthusiastic, and quite often we bounce between the two without being able to control it. We don't have, we're sort of it is the outside circumstances which stimulate that, and that in itself can be cause for quite a lot of anxiety. So the neutral mind, training the neutral mind, is the space that you come in between those two essential other. The mind is an amazing tool, but it is a tool, and it's sort of learning how to use it really, really well. When we're talking about the minds and the neutral mind, so it's not that you will always be wandering around in a state of bliss, but it's getting a real hold on being able to control your emotional states and understanding that through your breath signature, which is, it's very, very powerful.
Sort of finding peace on a regular sort of, I call it equivalent to brushing your teeth every day or brushing your hair every day. It sort of doesn't stop things going. Life's going to happen, isn't it? You're going to have up and down things in your life. But it gives you that sort of regular tap into that inner peace, that place, kind of the bounce. You got that bounce inside, isn't it? That the buffer zone. When life happens. I was wondering, I don't know if I can put you on the spot a bit, Sarah, if you want to take people through a little bit of practicing the 1 minute breath. I thought that might be a good idea. Would that be something?
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah,
you on the spot a bit, but just to guide people through. Would that be okay? So just before we do that, then, is there anybody who wants to ask any questions? Anything you want to pop in and mention? Is there something that you want to mention about your condition, or questions about Sarah's class, or Kundalini, or anything yoga related?
You could always pop something in the comments.
Yeah, definitely. And after this little 1 minute breath practice too.
Yeah.
Okay, so if there aren't any questions right now,
okay,
go for it. Yeah.
Okay.
Off and hold as well.
So let's just get wherever you are, we'll just kind of get comfy. I'm sitting on a chair, so if you're sitting on a chair, you want to just make sure that your feet are in contact with the ground if possible. If you're lying down, just try and get in a kind of so you're straight, not kinked somehow, so you're just kind of lying straight. And then if you're sitting, you just place your hands gently on your knees or thighs, and just start closing your eyes. So a lot of this yoga we do with our eyes closed, if that's comfortable for you. And to start off, just notice that the breath is coming in and out of your nose. And don't try and do anything with it, just notice it. And then let your awareness come to your shoulders and your neck, and just let them relax. And quite often we're holding on there, so just allow like a warm softness to come through your shoulders and your neck. And then we're going to take some deep breaths. So take a big deep breath in, and a big deep breath out. And again, breathing in and exhaling. Okay. So if you'd like to take your right hand, probably your right hand, it could be your left, and place it just on your belly. So just over your, the navel point, we call it, it's just over your belly. So that and then you can place the other hand on your chest, over your heart. And then go back to that awareness of the breath coming in and out of the nose. And as you're doing that, you're going to start noticing that your hands are moving gently up and down as you breathe your body in and out. Again, you're not trying to do anything, you're noticing. Okay, so we're going to start now slightly deepening the breath. And on the inhale, what you want to notice is that your belly expands out. So rather like a balloon that's being blown up. You know, when you blow up a balloon, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and stretches. So the belly does that as you breathe in, and it pushes into your hand and then comes down again. So breathe like that, focusing as if you're breathing with your belly, in and out through the belly, in and out of the hand. Okay, and then we're going to take that breath to the left hand and breathe more consciously through the top part of your body, so the lungs and the ribs. So as you're breathing in, you're noticing that your hand is coming up and moving. And then as you exhale, the rib cage drops again. And as you're doing this, you can visualize that your rib cage is an incredible thing. It really moves as you breathe. So the lungs expand and it moves out with the rib cage, and your rib cage goes all the way around to your back. It goes right to the back. So you're breathing through the front and the back. And just let that breath come as deep as it likes, and fully exhale, and you may notice that your shoulders are rising up and down as well, because you're breathing very differently from how you do in normal life. You're really accentuating it. Okay, and so we'll just do it a couple more times, and this time as you expand on your inhale, notice that your shoulders, it comes right up to your shoulders, if the air was coming up the top to the shoulders, and then dropping back down again. Okay, so we're going to try and put those two things together. So I want you to try and, as you inhale, notice the belly coming out into the right hand, softly, softly. And then you're going to carry on the inhale, moving up into the rib cage so that the left hand expands softly, softly. And you're filling up right to the shoulders till you can't fill up anymore. Your belly's expanded like a balloon. And then on the exhale, you let go first of the shoulders, then of the rib cage, dropping from the lungs and the rib cage. And then finally, you use the power of your navel, press your belly button to the back of your spine. That's what gets rid of all the air. And then as you let go and release your belly, no effort really required, like a vacuum, the air comes back in. So we'll do that just a few more times. That's the full complete breath. So inhaling through the belly, up to the chest and the lungs, up to the shoulders. And then letting back down again on the exhale, through the rib cage and then through the belly. So keep going just a few more times. And stay soft through your cheeks, soft through your face. You might even notice a small little smile there. So one more time, you're going to finish on the exhale. And then when you're done, just relax your hands down onto your lap. Bye, Andrea. Thanks for coming. Okay, so your hands are dropped down onto your knees, or if you're lying down, they're just by your side. And eyes closed, just really focus back on the breath and on the rest of your body. See if you can notice any shifts or changes in your awareness. Okay, and then let your eyes open. So that would be the first kind of, that would be the first part of before even going into the 1 minute breath, because that involves the suspension of the breath. So I think that was probably enough for now, for this evening. But that in itself is your way in. That's your way into breathing in a really, really effective way during your practice.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you, super. Thank you. I thought that's quite nice because people can hear your voice and how you guide, so they can get an idea and a feel for what your class might be like.
Yeah,
so thank you. That was lovely. So that's sort of the beginning of the 1 minute breath that you take people through.
Yeah.
Cool.
And as you know, Althea, the breath work is quite often woven into the meditations. So quite often it's not just doing a pranayam, it'll be a meditation at the end of the practice which involves a particular breath work and maybe a mantra, and quite often a certain mudra that goes with it as well. So it all gets woven in.
What's the mudra? Is that the position?
The mudras are the hand movements that we do. Quite often we're in Gyan mudra, which is when you've got your finger and thumb like that, and we have millions of meridians on the tips of the fingers, and in the rest of the hand actually. So by using certain movements with the hands, we stimulate those, and they each have their own specific meaning. So those are woven into the meditations too.
I know you're talking about, because like each finger represents a different meridian and different part of the soul and the body and things.
It does.
I love your classes, and they're gentle and guided, and you do the chanting and the breath work, and then these things, as you say, and you bring different consciousness and different awareness of different parts of us. And I love it. I do recommend it. Okay, so thank you so much, Sarah. And just to say that, these are the classes you run are on Zoom, and they are every week on Monday and Thursday at 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock. 10 to 11 every week. And for people to join your class, I'll be sending out the details. They need to call you or text you and get in contact with you on your mobile phone, and have a chat and let them know. Let them know about their condition, and so you know about them, and to join the class. And then
that's the thing really, is just to jump in and try it. And because it's no pressure, that there's no, and you can have the camera on or off if you want, and just sort of you can try it and see how it works for you.
Yeah, that's what I do. So if I'm feeling a bit self-conscious that day, they want camera off. Sometimes I do. I haven't done my hair. I'm like, oh God, I feel shy and embarrassed. I don't want to show my face. So, but you don't mind that, do you? And
no.
I just want the end to say goodbye and everything. Okay, so thank you so much, Sarah. Amazing, and lovely and interesting points. I'm going to be writing up the points and sending out the replay to everybody who signed up, and and how to get in contact with Sarah, with her number, and come and join us. Come and join Sarah, I should say, on Mondays and Thursdays at 10 o'clock. And you can get in contact with Sarah if you want to ask her questions or have a chat before you join, perhaps. I'll send all the details out so everyone's got that.
You may want to include my email. I don't know if you have, because that's kind of can be quite a good way of communicating.
Absolutely, no problem at all. I'll add that too then. So do get in contact with Sarah, and those who are in the membership already, you know that there's links that you just click on and join, but you'll have those I'll send it out to everyone in this group and who signed up for this call as well. So you'll have it either way. So thank you so much, Sarah. Amazing.
I enjoyed that.
Good, perfect.
Good.
And thank you everybody for joining us. I hope you got some nuggets out of this. You've got the replay coming, so you can have a look through it if you like, and especially going through that 1 minute guidance perhaps. I thought that was lovely. I really enjoyed that. Thank you so much everybody.
Great.
And
Thank you.
will see you soon. Thanks.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, Sarah. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.